If you're not familiar with Bub and Bob, it might be time for a crash course in video game history. All the way back in 1980-something, developer Taito unveiled their new arcade game, Bubble Bobble, where you play as these two guys turned into dinosaurs through 100 levels of silly arcade action. The series spun off into a puzzle game called Bust a Move, with some really strange cover art during the PS2 era, where you shoot down bubbles by matching colors. And with Survios' newest release, Puzzle Bobble 3D Vacation Odyssey, the series has been brought back to life in glorious 3D and in VR. Diving into the PSVR version, I grabbed my Move controllers and set out to conquer the 100 campaign levels, and after about 3 of them, I had to stop and figure out why this wasn't nearly as much fun as it should be. The environments are bright and colorful, the music is bouncy, and I loved my big giant dinosaur paw and oversized bubble shooter. But something felt wrong. Aiming the bubbles was mostly hit or miss. The Move controllers were tracking perfectly, but at least 1 out of every 4 shots didn't land where it should have. So I tried the DualShock 4, and even though this removed the slingshot motion of the moves in favor of holding down R2, I still struggled. So my next step was the non-VR flat screen version, which somehow was so much worse, because the lack of depth made it really tough to play, and all the puzzles seemed really far out in the distance. And that's when I realized that convincing myself to play the next 96 levels was going to be a challenge. And honestly, I wouldn't have even bothered, not if I wasn't reviewing this thing. But I pushed through and eventually the controls felt a little better, but never perfect. And soon enough, I was able to start unlocking power-ups with the coins I was accruing from completing each level. They're expensive to unlock, and if you're like me, it'll take half the game to even have access to all 3. One lets you spin the puzzle, one lets you change bubble colors, but the best one is the bomb, that in order to light you need to eat a spicy pepper so you can breathe fire to light the bomb to load into your blaster and then fire at the puzzle. But even after these power-ups are unlocked, you need to spend more coins after you use them in order to replenish your supply, which caused me to just keep going back to level 1 and replay it ad nauseum in order to stock up on coins. It seems a little silly to have to grind, rather than the game just giving you a set limit to use in each level. The further in the game you get, the more interesting the challenges become. New types of bubbles appear that gain you extra shots or take some away, contain creatures that you have to rescue, or even strip you of your ability to swap bubbles for a few turns. But the levels I found most fun were the ones that gave you a set time limit rather than a limited amount of ammo, which is why I found Endless Mode so appealing, and far more refreshing than the campaign. It's faster paced and only ends if any of the constantly rising bubble groups slip into the void. This is also how duel mode works too. You and one other player online play Endless Mode together, and it goes on forever until one of you finally loses. It's weird though, your opponent is really far away, and although you are technically sending pieces to each other, if I never looked off to the side, it would still feel like I was playing this all by myself. You can't even shoot bubbles into your opponent's clusters, so while this was fun for a few minutes, I doubt I'll ever go back to it. Puzzle Bobble 3D Vacation Odyssey is adorable. It's super polished, it's got cute characters, great backgrounds, bouncy music, and on the surface, it seems like the video game equivalent of Prozac. But the puzzles just aren't all that much fun, and occasional problems with shot precision kept me from wanting to push forward, relegating this vacation to being just average at best.